At the end of October, Apple had its Scary Fast event where they showed off new versions of their Apple Silicon chips and the computers they will be in. In this video, I'm going to give you a recap regarding the event. This is going to be a bit of a long one, but I promise you it's good. So grab some popcorn and soda and let's get to it. Let's start talking about the chips. They announced the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max. They will be using the same 3nm technology that they used on the Apple A17 Pro chip, which is the one on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. Apparently, the part that was scary fast in the event was how scary fast it was. Half an hour they were in and out, giving you everything that they could say about the processors, everything they could say about the computers, which was not much because they didn't change much. They were in and out in at least just a tad over 30 minutes. And most of the comparisons they made were with the M1 rather than the M2, proving that the M2 was more of a stopgap chip than we thought. Okay, so let's start giving you the numbers. They promised that the M3 will be at least 30% better than M1, but only 15% better than the M2 CPU-wise, while it will be 2.5 times faster than the M1 GPU-wise. The M3 Pro is the weirdest of these updates. It has the same 12-core CPU that the previous version had, but it's now divided in 6 efficiency and 6 performance cores, while before it was 8 performance and 4 efficiency. They did indicate that apparently now the efficiency cores will work better, so there will be more things that will be allocated to the efficiency cores in order to, of course, save on battery life, making the M2 Pro better when you need to perform it. Since it has more performance cores, not necessarily, okay? And I'm gonna give you the numbers. Well, they said the M3 Pro was 20% faster than the M1 Pro. That's the same number as the M2 Pro CPU-wise, so it doesn't change a lot there. In the GPU cores, you also get 18 instead of 19 with the M2 Pro. So it's one less core GPU-wise. And thus, the only actual number that the M3 Pro is actually better at is in the unified memory. It has 18 gigabytes instead of the 16 that the M2 Pro had. So it's actually not that much, but 2 gigabytes is 2 gigabytes. We'll take it. Now let's talk about the M3 Max. And this was the beast of these processors. The M3 Max gets up to a 16-core CPU and a 40-core GPU, when before it was 12 and 38 with the M2 Max, making it up to 80% faster than M1 Max and 50% faster than M2 Max CPU-wise, while 50% than the M1 Max and 20% faster than the M2 Max GPU-wise. Now, these chips need new computers to go in, so let's talk about those. Starting off with the 24-inch iMac. Yeah, the really ugly one with the white bezels that... Ugh. Anyways, it now gets the M3 chip, and it starts at $1,300, skipping over the M2 processor completely. The 13-inch MacBook Pro with the old design is officially retired. Taking its place will be the 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 processor, starting with a price of $1,600. Now, I know that price is higher than what the 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro used to be, but remember, this is the 14-inch MacBook Pro. There is only 2 differences from the actual 14-inch MacBook Pro, M3 Pro or M3 Max. The processor, which will be the M3, which is the base chip, and the only other difference is that it has one less Thunderbolt port than the M3 Pro or the M3 Max. Thunderbolt port that you had right by the HDMI port is no longer there, in only the case of the M3 14-inch MacBook Pro. Still has the same display with the 120 Hz refresh rate, same speakers, and the same quality microphones, and everything else stays exactly the same. So for $1,600, it's actually a pretty good price. If not, you can buy the 14-inch MacBook Pro with either the M3 or the M3 Pro or the M3 Max. If that's not enough for you and you need larger size, the 16-inch MacBook Pro will also get M3 Pro and M3 Max. We now start seeing a difference in the lineup. It starts to look a little different. Mac Mini only has either M2 or M2 Max, M2 Pro. iMac only has M3. The laptops, the MacBook Air, either size only comes with an M2. And if you want M3, you have to jump automatically into either the 14-inch or the 16-inch MacBook Pros with either M3, M3 Pro, or M3 Max. I know that the studio stayed with the M2 Max and M2 Ultra. Honestly, it is, as I just said, a higher clock speed for the M1 processor. Since they're desktop systems, it doesn't matter whether they're 3 nanometer or not. They can handle the power since they're always plugged in. This is actually a more important update for laptops than it is for actual desktops. I already ordered my 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 Max, and obviously I will give you a review of it once I receive it and start using it for a bit, and also obviously make the comparison between the only two that I can make a comparison with, which is the M2 Pro Mac Mini, which should be interesting because the M2 Mac Mini is always plugged in and it's overclocked, so we'll see how that works out. Two things to take from the event. They compared the M3 more to Intel and to the M1. There's a reason for that. People don't change their computers every year. It is logical to compare it to the previous version. For both, the percentages were not that large because the M2 is an overclocked M1, and because people just don't change every year. So making this distinction of not what happened last year, but what happened the year before and the years previous to that, is more of an actual real comparison. People not changing their computers, or at least most everybody doesn't change their computers every year. The other thing is that I'm hoping for is battery life, but that's obviously something that I will have to wait and see. Apple always is a little bit conservative with their battery life, but I'm pretty sure that it could be last a little more than the 22 hours, maybe 23, maybe even 24, pushing it, 23 and a half, maybe. But we'll just have to wait and see for those reviews and my review to come out. I will be using it for a lot of things, not just for video editing, so I will let you know how that goes. And lastly, the message that the entire event was recorded on an iPhone, specifically the iPhone 15 Pro Max. That actually impressed me a lot. That was impressive. Apple has said that their phones have a good enough quality to be a useful tool for professionals. And this is nice that they put their money where their mouth is, and they actually made the entire event, obviously not the effects. The effects were made on a Mac, and it actually says that it was recorded on an iPhone, edited on a Mac. So end to end, it was all Apple. So that was actually very nice to see. I actually enjoyed that one. I did not expect, and honestly, they could have told me that it was a professional camera. I would have never noticed the difference. I was really impressed by that message at the end. Let me know your comments down below. Did you think the same as I did when you saw that message that the entire thing was shot on an iPhone? Let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified when we have new videos. As I always say, the only way you can do that is with a Gmail account. Sign in, and the like is the only way that you can do that. And it's very important, not just for me, but for any other YouTuber. It's greatly appreciated. As always, we're available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X. Eventually, I'll get it. I promise. And obviously, YouTube at J.R. Abrams Tech, so you can stay up to date with the latest news and rumors about tech. Until next time.